You looked intense on the sideline. I know that's a rivalry game that means a lot to you guys. What'd that feel like for you?
Well, the last time I had a chance to play there was 1991, like the original wide right one.
Yeah.
And so I was a GA there for one stop, and then as a head coach there for another stop. But I hadn't had a chance to win there since that day. And it's just a really intense, physical, violent rivalry, and it was great to come out and really get after it and find a way to get the W.
You guys are humming. You've got talent. You look like everything that you talked about, when you were introduced there as the coach and everything you wanted to do. It feels like it's coming into place for you. Can you afford to look at it from that perspective, or is it always about what can you do next to get better?
Yeah, I don't. We're not there yet. I mean, upon arrival, it was gut wrenching the amount of work that had to be done, how much it had fallen off in every aspect, players, culture, caliber of people and competitor. And but we've worked relentlessly. I mean, we've brought in some great people at all levels of the program, and we've made a lot of progress. But the neat thing is, every Saturday as we get better, we identify there's so many areas that we got to work on, improve upon, and there's a strong appetite for it. So wake up and get right at it again.
Give us an idea, because you remember the old World Pac-12. Compare ACC football to the old Pac-12.
See, I'll go to the grave saying that the Pac-12 was awesome, and I wish there was a way that it could have survived. I mean, I thought the entire contingent, that whole pocket of football was strong and getting better. And business is what it is, and football, takes its course and its path, and it's led to all these realignments and whatnot. But I just think the ACC continues to get stronger. Some coaches have been hired that have brought in top tier talent, some really unique schemes as well, which reminds me a lot of some of the stuff in the Pac-12 and the SEC during my time there. So all in all, our conference keeps getting stronger and stronger, and it's kind of neat to see all the things that are playing out in college football on a week-by-week basis.
We all remember watching Rocco and Mateo in the back of the press box throwing the football. Remember you talking about them on this show, shooting their Nerf guns at each other on Christmas morning and all that. How are the kids?
You know what? It's kind of neat. They're playing football at the high school I went to, and ironically, there's not a single skilled player in our bloodlines, and they become wide receivers. So
I love it.
Total shot. Yeah, it's a shot to the gut for me. They're out there running routes and they're developing, and they're really they've really adjusted and acclimated well. So super blessed, man. They are. I appreciate you asking about them. They're doing really well.
The best blocking wide receivers in high school, Miami area high school. That has to be your wife's genetics there, the wide receiver part.
Yeah, there's no doubt. It's the athletic side. This side's more plotters and, big dudes. But you know what? He knows every time he comes home, he's going to be asked about how he blocked. And then we have to watch it on film.
I love it.
Because he's not allowed to get the football unless he blocks well.
All right. Your old offensive line coach, since you're talking about your old playing days, used a part of a Robert Frost poem to motivate you guys. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. That's Robert Frost from back in the day. But you had a coach who used to say that to you every day.
Yeah, Arthur Francis Kehoe, man. Coach Kehoe was the best, and we had to block a really stout defensive line in practice every day. It was Cortez Kennedy, it was Russell Maryland, Bill Hawkins, Greg Mark. These guys are all first, second rounders, Hall of Famers, and whatnot. And if we'd have success a little bit against them, or if we came off a game where we felt like we made progress, that dude would just march up and down right beside us, just telling we have miles to go before we sleep, miles to go, and promises to keep. And he quoted a lot of different things and whatnot to keep us motivated, and that was one that was always a staple for him.
You did well at Oregon, obviously 35-13, Rose Bowl win, Red Box win. 12-win season, a 10-win season, and then you leave for Miami. What were you most proud of as you look back at your time at Oregon?
They just be part of an unbelievable place and tradition of an opportunity granted, and one that hopefully could be always looked upon as when we got there. I remember arriving as an assistant where it was raining sideways on a crazy night in January and being rushed over to watch a basketball game where the basketball at halftime, they were going to have the players play against the new coaching staff. And those guys weren't happy because, right, they were just been a 4-8 season, and the staff had a staff that had been ultra successful. There was change coming, and then watching Justin Herbert dunk over Coach Taggart, like live in the middle of Matthew Knight Arena. It was surreal. But I just thought the way that we were able to work really hard with awesome people, a bunch of people coming together, and finding a way to, in our second year, go and win the Rose Bowl and win a conference title and go on a nice run and change the recruiting platform and trajectory, and just be part of a great program, and leaving it in a better place than when we arrived.
I look at what happened, everything that happened, and Taggart leaves, and then you end up in charge, and then really it's your stepping stone back to your alma mater. You mentioned Herbert. When did you know that Herbert was Justin Herbert? How long did it take you to figure that out?
No, that was early, right away. But quite honestly, John, I never ever thought of anything as a stepping stone. I never ever had any plans of anything, but it's just the one thing that no one ever knows is what goes on in these frantic, crazy time crunch moments of when moves are made, decisions have to be made. There's no, and at the end of the day, it always works out best for everybody, right? What's meant to be, it's meant to be. And had some time there with Justin Herbert, and it was it's just he's a creature. I mean, he's 6'6", and he was making throws in practice, and running the ball in practice. I'd never seen something like that, never. And but we had to fortify. Coach Graywood had done a great job recruiting some great young offensive linemen. But we needed a couple more pieces, and the Panays and those guys, came on in. And it was like the perfect storm, like the perfect marriage of pieces, and it led to a pretty quick, a pretty quick rising of the program.
I think if Miami doesn't call, you stay at Oregon. That was always my thing. That I thought you can't turn your back on going home, and I think everyone understands that ultimately. And you put in 4+ years at Oregon, but am I getting that right? Like in this world, it feels like Miami, Oregon. There's a few schools out there. These are really good jobs.
Well, it's like I always think about like who goes back and does something for their alma mater, did so much for them, right? Like you have one of the best examples right there, of course, and Phil Knight. And when someone at my level, like in life, there's, in terms of gratitude, what's the best possible thing I could do to show my gratitude for a place I gave a couple of kids, my brother and I, the sons of a couple of, mom, immigrant, dad, political, deal from Cuba. Like Miami gave us everything, like it did everything for us, and Miami had fallen hard and was not looking to, work its way up anytime soon. And so I owe, and I believe in that, and I believe in repaying, and that's what I always wanted. I wanted to make sure that if we never plan to leave, but if we plan to leave, that we certainly left it in a better spot than how we came in, and that I was going to go and repay the debt that I felt that I owed.
Mario Cristobal with us, Miami head football coach. They are number 2 in the latest AP poll. Oregon's at 3. I want to see you guys play. I want to see Oregon, Miami in a CFP. Can we get a semifinal or a championship matchup? Maybe. We'll see. That's way down the road, isn't it?
Well, what I think is that there's absolutely no value talking about rankings and ratings at this point. I mean, humility is always 1 week away, and you see it every single see it every single week. I mean, that last week, John, there were 24 one-possession games, and there were 5. I believe 6 overtime games. It's because conference play is now real, and every single week is playoff football. So to even spend a fraction of a second, looking at a ranking or a poll is the biggest waste of time imaginable. So, press on week by week, one day at a time.
Has this job gotten harder with the way it is with, NIL and the portal, and it doesn't feel like there's ever a day off or a week off for a head coach.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm a boring human being anyways. I wouldn't know what else to do. So
It's true.
it doesn't really.
Yeah.
I mean, there are challenges, but I think universities are adapting, and there's the old saying, man, adapt or die, right? You got to be able to press on and go, and some people have and some haven't, and some are in better position than others, and then some are coming on strong. No, but everybody recognizes that you have to keep up, and you have to push forward, and you have to be on the cutting edge, because one bad class, one poor season that's coupled by another bad class, and you could absolutely set back a program for multiple seasons. So there's no time to waste, and certainly we're not going to waste any time.
Help me with this one, because when NIL was first on the scene, everybody said, no, you don't need a GM. And then revenue sharing, it becomes a thing. And they go, well, you do need a GM. Does a football program in today's world, does it need to operate a little like an NFL team with a player personnel or a general manager over the top? Or is that the head coach's job? Where do you stand on that?
The head coach has to do, it's a very different job now than it was 4 or 5 years ago, but you need I don't know if it's an NFL GM, because those guys have their set price ranges, right? There's a cap, right? There's a range, and there is no range. There is no fair market value. It's all over the place. Whatever it's set at is essentially what someone is willing to pay. So you have to have a mathematical wizard. You have to have strong relationships. You have to have a really good eye, because your value picks and your value identifications end up being the real difference makers, for your football team. But I think everybody's still trying to figure out what it really takes. But there's a lot. I know college football is making a lot more money, but it sure as hell spending a lot more money too.
All right, you got Louisville coming up on Friday. When do you start looking at film?
We already have. We started on Louisville today. They're excellent. I think they're one of the more talented teams really in the country. They've got explosive players everywhere. They're as well coached as you could imagine. I mean, Coach Brom is, one of the, if not the best play caller in the country, and their defense is playing some high level football. So, we have to start early on them. They have a week off before us as well. So we're expecting a tremendous game and opportunity.
I look at Oregon and Dan Lanning, and I see Oregon figured something out, right? They went from, hey, we're going to have the same coaching staff for 30 years, to Willie Taggart and then you, and they get some success. And then here comes Dan Lanning. And I kind of think if there's no Mario Cristobal success, maybe Oregon goes with a different blueprint. But, former Alabama guy's a really good recruiter. Do you know Lanning? Have you guys crossed paths at all?
Yeah, we have. We worked together at Oregon. I'm not at Oregon. I'm sorry, at Alabama.
Yeah.
I think everybody worked together there at some point in time or another, right, with Coach Saban. But you know what? Oregon was always doing great before myself and anyone else ever got there, and Oregon is doing great now. And again, I don't think I don't ever think the guys that came before myself, I should say, I'll stay to that part of it.
Yeah.
Ever got enough credit. I mean, those guys, if you watch film, and that was one thing that was always kind of neat, is just going into the film bank of the schematically what they did and how they made things work, and some of the great identifications and recruiting and development they did. It was incredible. So much was learned there, and you know what? And they're doing awesome now as well. So always, always happy to see them do well.
All right. Look, I know a lot of people in Eugene had fond memories of you, and I think a lot of people still in the Pacific Northwest following you and your family. Good luck to you this week, and I will see you down the road, and I appreciate you keeping in touch with us.
You got it, buddy. Thank you, man. Hey, and family's doing well, though?
Yeah, everybody's good, man. 3 girls. I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum as you, so I specialize in girls, but it's different. It's just different. They're all playing sports and having fun.
That's hilarious, man.
Yeah.
Good for you, brother. Enjoy every minute of it, man.
Yeah, I will. All right, take care.
All right, buddy.